Good morning, friends. Diane Halfman here, and if you are here with me live, you are watching Map It Monday, where we're going on the journey together of spa life and having conversations about where you're at in spa life. And remember that spa life is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that accepts that accomplishment and harmony can coexist together. So, welcome to the week. Looking forward to having this conversation with you. And in this month, we've been talking about spa life relationships. What is it about your relationships? What are ways that we can improve them? What are things that are coming up around your relationships? And for today, we want to talk about what's left unsaid in your relationships. So, a lot of times, there's things about our relationships where we're having the conversations, but what is that aspect about your relationships that's not being said? Sometimes that can be the elephant in the room when something's not said, and it can actually affect the dynamics of your relationships as well. So I like to use a kind of a metaphor or an analogy between, when we talk about clutter, things that are in your relationship or in your space and how they can relate to relationships. So if you've got physical clutter, so if you think in terms of like a kitchen counter and you've got things piled up on your counter, then you can't see clearly, right? And so, it's so much nicer when you clear things out in your kitchen counter, you come down the next day, it's clear, you have it available for you to do the next thing. So you want to look at this in terms of like what is on your relationship counter? What is stacked up? What is maybe getting in the way, maybe blocking some of the things about your relationship that are making it not as easy to have access to a deeper relationship or to be connection with people. So, what is it that you need to do in your relationship? And I have to ask myself this all the time as well. What do we need to do in our relationship so that we can have more abundance, more love, more serenity and peace in our relationships? Because remember, we get to create our life. We don't want to live by default. We want to live it by design. And so we want to do the things that really, really support us. So think about this. What is it about your relationships that are maybe feeling things that are unsaid? And what are the open loops, right? We maybe have related this to like our things that we need to do in our day. And at the end of the day, when things are unfinished and we don't have completion, that's where we don't feel like we're necessarily winning in our day. So we want to be asking ourselves, like, what kind of open loops do we have in our relationships? So how do you know if you have an open loop? Well, there's three things that help you give you that indication. And the first one is that, you feel awkward around that person or you want to avoid them. So think about some of the relationships, whether it's your immediate family or, friends or close, partnerships. Are you feeling awkward in those relationships? Are you avoiding that person? That is a good indication that there is an open loop and that there's something unsaid that needs to be said in order to create and correct that relationship. So the second thing is that do you feel a loss of love or affinity being in that relationship? The feelings aren't quite the same. Maybe there's something that, again, a deeper conversation. It just isn't feeling that old connection feeling that you've had before. So that's another opportunity to explore and have a conversation around what is happening. And sometimes it's not that something's wrong in the relationship. It's just that if something's unsaid, it just doesn't feel quite right, right? I mean, how many of you have had that experience where it's just something's not right in your relationship and it's time to have those conversations? So the final thing is that if you are feeling mad at them or you're blaming them, so, if you're feeling that, then that's a higher even level of things that are out of balance in your relationships. And so always a good thing to do. I know if sometimes I feel like, irritated or something's going on, I have to take a minute, take a deep breath for myself and look at what's going on with me that I'm creating this because, it's really, a lot of times it's not necessarily about that person. It's how we are reacting to how they're being. And so we have to look at how are we being in order to really have those deeper, open conversations to get back on track. Because who wants to have relationships that are awkward or not feeling good, or we don't feel that love for that person, or we're upset with them? I mean, that doesn't really support any of us in having those good, deep relationships. So we really want to ask ourselves about that, what is left in there, because you guys, here's the thing. There are plenty of people in the graveyard of the unspoken word. where things were not said. Maybe someone passed away, they moved away, you are out of contact with them. And when you think back on it, you think about the things that are unsaid. Right? I mean, here's the thing. It's never too late to have these conversations with someone, to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Yeah, I want to clear something up, or I just want to have a conversation. Maybe I want to hear your side of something, and maybe it gives me some insights of some assumptions that I made. But really having those opportunities to look at, because it's really, really important to have your relationships be 100% complete all the time. And this was always something that was really apparent for me, especially when I was working for the police department. And every day when I'd go into work, there was always that possibility that I wouldn't be coming home, right? And a lot of times we don't think of our day like that, but that can be for anyone. I mean, how many people do you know that has, gotten ill this week, or gotten in an accident, or certain things happened that you're like, wow, that was a sudden thing that happened in their life, which then impacts you being able to have connection with them in relationship. And so you don't want to leave any of those things unsaid. So I really try and make a point of, when I'm with people that I love, that I say the things to them. I tell them I love them. I tell them, I miss them, or I want to spend time with them, or you reach out to a friend. Like, one of the things that's great about here on Facebook is that, things will pop up with our friends, and we have that opportunity to say hi, how are you, send a private message. I mean, there's so many opportunities now to be able to reach out to our family and friends and just say the words, and just talk and reach out to them. Because here's the thing, guys, we just don't know. We don't know if this might be the last conversation that we have with people that we love. And so we don't want to have any unfinished conversations that impact our relationship that we would potentially regret later. Because here we want to live a life of no regrets. We want to be fully embraced in our life, to live our spa life where we have that balance in all the other areas. And relationships are an integral part of our experience of life and how we are with other people. So I encourage you to not have any unspoken words, to, even if you have to be the person that just steps out there and says something first, because sometimes it can be uncomfortable to start certain conversations, or to have conversations with people that, to say something like, hey, there's kind of something that's happening, and maybe I'm overreacting, and that's okay. This kind of landed with me weird. And I've done this with some of my relationships where I thought they meant something, and they meant something totally different. And our perceptions can really affect how our relationships are and how they go forward. So I invite you today to really take a look at your relationships, see where there might be some open loops, see where you might need to have some completion conversations, some really, hey, I want to just reach out and have a conversation with you. Something's on my mind. Do you have a few minutes, right? I mean, the people that we love, they love us. They want to make sure that things are right with us. So it's a great opportunity to pick up the phone, send a text, and say, hey, I'd love to get some time together. When can we get on the phone? Right? And by the way, these are not usually the conversations that are good to do over a text. There are actually certain, conversations and things in relationship where you're either face to face with someone. You can even use FaceTime, but at least pick up the phone. Let them hear your voice. Let them hear the intonation, and really have that conversation. I mean, whenever we can, it's always best to be face to face. But, again, we have the FaceTime, and we have at least a phone call to hear somebody's voice, because you can really connect with someone on a deeper level than you can over a text message. So if this is something that really resonated with you, I'd love to see those hearts and likes. And if there's somebody that you think that might really benefit from this message today, I would love for you to, to share it and get it out there, because there are probably some people that have some, not even probably, I know that there are some people that are having open loops in their life, and they need to close them with a conversation before it's too late, before other things start happening, to really step out and to be the person that makes that conversation happen. So if you have any questions about this, I'm happy to answer any of them here in the comments. And you can also send me a message in private message if you would like to ask me something privately about what's going on with you and how I can support and serve you in that. So one of the things I also would like to do is, so if you want to step into having your spa life, but you don't know where to start, and you do want to have some guidance in that, then I invite you to download my free book, which is the Step Into Your Spa Life. And you can get that at dianehalfman.com/guide. Again, that's dianehalfman.com/guide. And that will show you the 9 different elements that I look at to really have more balance. And relationship is an integral part of that. So that is a resource from me to you to help you give some insights in maybe having those conversations, some reminders about how to have some more balance in those areas, and to support you in creating your spa life. So with that, it's always wonderful to connect with you all. I will circle back around and answer any of your questions. And as always, I love to connect with you and be with you here. And again, live your spa life. Bye for now.